I know, right? There's a hair on my phone and it's bothering me.
It's ready.
Okay. Great. Good evening. Thank you for attending our November 14th, Tuesday, November 14th, 2023 Finance Committee meeting at 5:30 p.m. We will call our meeting to order and begin by introducing board members, beginning over here with you.
Jeff Hanley.
Molly Rogers.
Chris McLaughlin.
Becky Fless,
Megan Carlson.
administrators.
Pat Hopkins, Superintendent.
Andrea Dish, Business Manager.
Karen McGuire, Director of Technology.
Perfect. Thank you very much. First on the agenda is the community project funding, an update.
Yes, so Andrea, Gabe, and myself met with a representative from Congressman Golden's office last week, I believe it was. Let me just write this down. Very productive meeting. It was very informative. And so the purpose of the meeting was to discuss the community project funding process, which I brought to you before. We became aware of these earmarks back in the spring, but at that time, there wasn't enough of a time span for us to be able to pull together a proposal. So when I had spoken to a representative from his office last year, she had asked me to contact his office once again this fall, which is what sparked this conversation. And so basically what he said is that that based on the conversation, the proposal that we are considering, he feels that it would absolutely fit within some of the confines that they have for earmarks, and he would put a proposal under transportation and housing. The main focus of these earmarks are to take the burden off of taxpayers and municipalities. And what we talked to him about, was primarily two main projects. One would be resurfacing of the high school track. The track gets a lot of use from our community. The last time we had an estimate for the track to be resurfaced, it was about $250,000. That was probably 2-3 years ago. So my guess is it's going to be somewhere around $350,000 now to have that redone. The other focus was on paving. We all know that the high school parking lot needs to completely be torn up and repaved. So does the Pittston Randolph School.
Yes.
That one's in really rough shape. And then some of our other schools, maybe middle school, and then some of the others just need some repairs. So he felt that that would fit under the transport and the housing. He said that what we should do is to move forward and get some proposals so that we would have something concrete that we could attach to our application. So Gabe is going to be researching and reaching out to a couple organizations, a couple businesses to try to get those estimates. He said that the applications usually open somewhere in February or March, but we'll have to see. I mean, it all depends what's happening in DC at that time. And the selection process usually occurs somewhere between April and May. So if we were to submit an application, if it were to be approved in 24, the money would not become available until 25. So you have to realize that you have a year out that you have to wait. He recommended that we submit an application to all of our congressional leaders, not just to his office and our school district. It falls within both districts. So you have Congresswoman Pingree and you have Congressman Golden. So it covers both of those, but he said send it to all four. In the House, they have less money available. They usually are able to fund about 15 applications a year, and they range between 1 million and 3 million. Whereas if we send it to the senators, they're unlimited, and theirs will range from 500,000 to whatever. And they all talk. So you wouldn't submit it to one and then or to all four and then get approved in all four, you know, they would talk and make sure that it was approved only by one of them. The thing that we have to keep in mind, however, is they expect a demonstration of community buy-in. So they want to make sure that the community is really going to buy into it. So they would want school board approval. You need to document that. And up to a 20% match. They may not require an entire 20% match, but to have that, to plan on it and to set it aside. So we would have to keep that in mind when we were building an application and a proposal. How much money are you willing to, and able to set aside if it's approved in 2025, right? So just something to keep in mind. We also would need to try to get letters from organizations, you know, municipalities, organizations that would demonstrate the community's support for these projects. One other idea that we discussed, we didn't really go anywhere with it, but we discussed it towards the end of our conversation, was the possibility of maybe EV chargers, like for staff, right? We know, I don't remember the year, is it 2050 that the state wants to be carbon neutral? I don't remember. But
That's a great idea.
if there is a way of maybe using some of these funds to begin getting some of those EV chargers into our schools, into our community, that can be used by our staff, or used by community members. We know when we looked at it before, was it last year that we looked at it, year before?
Last year, maybe the year
That
before.
the cost of that infrastructure is unbelievable. Just to get a high-speed, fast charger that doesn't take into account any of the infrastructure that you have to build in for it, just the charger alone, I think it was $125,000 at the time for one of those high speed. You could get a lower speed that takes about 7 hours to charge. And I think that was closer to $40,000, $30,000, something like that. But then, of course, you have to make sure that your electrical system can take
Carry
that,
the load.
right? Carry the load, thank you. And depending where you have the charger, you would have to get electricity to that point. So there's a lot of infrastructural cost, but. So that's an update. So if you are interested in pursuing this further, before the board actually votes, I would recommend that you give us some time to have Gabe gather and collect some updated estimates so you can get a better idea of what an overall project could cost us. And you could use that as you weigh what type of or what level of a community buy-in and what type of match you feel would be reasonable for the board to consider.
How long do you suppose it would take Gabe to get those estimates?
It all depends on work.
And we have holidays coming
We
up.
have holidays coming up. It's busy right now with not only transportation operations, we're also trying to work on the RFQ and trying to get information for that. So, and I don't know, because even once he does the work, then it's going to be in the hands of these other businesses to be able to get back to us. And sometimes that turnaround time
It can take
can
a
be
while.
lengthy.
Another question. So when would we need in the spring if we were going to do this so we could be in the 2025 timetable? When would we need to have?
The applications are usually open up between February and March. So we would need to have everything ready to go. So once the applications open, that we could complete the application and submit it.
I guess I wanted to know how long they were. So they open in March. How long are they open? When do they close? What's the window
So the
within?
selection process is usually April and May.
There we go. Okay.
So right now, they're trying to find appropriations to fund the projects that were approved last spring.
Right.
And there's kind of issues in moving things along between the House and Senate right now. So they're waiting for those things to be funded. So we're a couple of years out. We also talked amongst the three of us, that would be Pat, Gabe, and I, about perhaps using some of the money that we have in the capital reserve account. And if things are good at the end of the year, being able to sweep some more money into that account, so we're not having to add 200,000 or 300,000
Mhm.
to our budget, so.
That was gonna be my next question. Could we do that? Okay,
Thoughts?
excellent.
Yeah.
Questions for?
It makes sense to try to, use it annual finance committee to gather on that, would that be enough time to feedback from people?
I will ask him to try to target. The other challenge is the 5-year capital improvement plan is also usually prepared and presented to finance in December or January. So he's working on that behind the scenes as well, but I will ask him to target January.
How much is in our capital account right now?
The capital reserve account only has $50,000 in it.
Yeah, it's not much.
The special ed reserve account has 300,000. So
3? I thought it was 2.
3.
Other questions?
Is it possible that we're going to be able to make the application this year?
Yes, that's what
Okay.
we're trying to do.
Okay,
Yeah.
it sounds like a lot is being put on Gabe's, like Gabe's got a lot that he needs
Gabe
to.
needs another 6 or 7 hours in his
Yeah.
day.
Yeah, exactly.
Just that.
He's thoughtful.
Should be easy to come by, right?
Yeah.
No, there's a lot
But
going
we'd
on.
still be on target for the February-ish.
That's the target, yeah, and I would guess it would probably be closer to March. If
Okay.
last year is any indication,
Mhm.
it'll be close to the March.
Okay,
And the great news is they love big projects because they want to be able to spend all of their appropriations. They want to be able to do as much as they can. So they're looking for big-ish projects.
And they rarely do schools because there is no section under their earmarks for education. That's why we actually have to come under like transportation and housing. So I
Mhm.
think it looks really good, right, when they're able to support a school district.
that's really
We'll-
great.
We'll see.
We'll see.
Good news.
I was gonna say, is there a way that we could link the chargers and redoing parking lots so that it's a bigger project, and maybe even having industrial solar panels over the parking lots to provide
Charge
the electricity for the EV stations?
I
mean,
know that that's
would be a
been
multi-million dollar project, but if they're looking at big projects,
I don't know if they're looking at that larger project. If the project's too large, that gives them less money and fewer projects to fund.
Mhm.
So I don't know. I know Jim Lothridge
Mhm.
has talked in the past about a very similar thing and putting the solar panels over the parking lot. So I know they do that in California. They don't have the snow load that we have here. And I think that that would be the biggest risk thing that we would have to be careful of.
They have more sun too.
They have a lot
Yeah.
more sun.
Solar panels in Maine work at 14% efficiency. It would be an incredible waste of money.
well,
There'd be no return on it whatsoever.
you might have enough energy to do an EV charger.
Not, the return on investment would never be there.
Have we looked at wind
Well,
energy?
That is something that we could certainly.
Yeah, that's something we could look at. I don't have any idea about
I
the
have no
efficiency. I know that
No.
that there are solar fields in Gardner, on the McGee land. There's gonna be a gigantic one, and all that energy, solar energy is gonna go out of
Well, if
Maine
you'd
and
like
into New York.
a tutorial on it, I'll be glad to give it someday. I was on the energy committee for 4 years
Mhm.
and I know the solar.
Yeah.
I know the solar numbers inside now.
And,
It's a
and,
waste of money.
and I think for this, our priority has to be infrastructure.
Absolutely.
Right? And the priority needs to be those parking lots, the resurfacing of the track. If we're able to do some EV chargers, that's great. But it's going to be that 20% match that's really gonna limit what you can do.
Right,
And if we're really talking about $10 million, then you're gonna have to come up with 2 million with a community match, and that's just not gonna be realistic.
And the
Right.
projects that we're targeting are projects that are currently on our capital improvement
Yes.
list that we
Mhm.
need to get off. They're projects that we just keep pushing out, that we just can't finance. So I think that you're right, that is the priority. It's
that we've talked about
moving those
bonding, and
projects
if we,
right.
and if we can
Yeah.
get these projects completed without needing to take out a bond, that
Yeah.
would be wiser
Right.
for us.
Correct.
And I appreciate it, we're in the frozen
Yeah.
north and we don't see enough sun to,
45-degree latitude. So you are.
yep,
Okay.
no matter how we tip.
All right, so we'll try to
So
get,
thank you for that.
sorry, I'll try to get Gabe, see if he can target January finance committee meeting. Okay, thank you.
So do we need a vote to,
I don't think so.
No,
we're all
At this
good?
point.
more information, right? Yeah.
Okay, cool. Can't wait for this one. Summit natural gas update.
Actually, I bring good news about Summit. So, as a reminder, however, I'm going to preface what I'm going, this is an FYI discussion. As a reminder, much like our other, utility deliveries, there is a supply component and a delivery component to our natural gas. Okay, so the delivery component increased. However, I did get an email from Summit Natural Gas letting me know that the cost per therm for 2023 is $1.0610 per therm, as opposed to 2.291 per therm. So that is good news. And I always seem to bring bad news, so I wanted to share something good with you. So please know that I expect our, at least our supply costs for natural gas to go down, hopefully this winter. It won't be a cold winter, and we won't make up for it in usage. So we're hoping for the best. Okay.
You've taught me how to read my gas bill so much more efficiently. I'll tell you what.
I am glad.
Yay. Well, I'll take all the good news as it comes.
So that is the end of that
you.
conversation.
The benefits trust.
So I
Preliminary?
wanted
Go ahead.
to let folks know that this time of year, I usually receive a preliminary report from the MAABT, who is the broker of our health insurance, as well as most of the school districts in the state. They give us a preliminary medical loss ratio. I wanted you to know that it's currently 86.18% for the months of January through September. We still have 3 months to go. For those of you who do not understand what medical loss ratio means, it means for every dollar that we put in, 86% of it goes in for claims. As a reminder, there are other things that go into setting our health insurance rates, including medical trend. So this is not the only thing, but I'm pleased that we're not in the 90s with 3 months to go. So I think this is good news. I don't think we would be so lucky to end up 2 years with a 0% increase, but I at least hope it's favorable. So we'll see. where
Lower
this
single
goes.
digits.
As usual, we expect to get our rates for the next year in April. So they're usually setting rates at the end of March, but this is preliminary and I just wanted to share.
Cute. Questions, anybody? Great, thank you. Kennebec Savings Bank.
So I bring more good news. See, I'm doing it in all one meeting.
I love good news.
I do too.
Gosh, we could do this a
So
lot.
as a reminder, I want to say last fall or last spring, I came to you and asked the board's permission to move our bank accounts. We were currently using three different financial institutions, and it was just too much. So the board gave us permission to consolidate. And so we have closed the student activity accounts at a local financial institution. And we have moved all of that business to the bank where we do our general banking, which is Kennebec Savings. And I want you to know that they have been lovely to us. In response, I want you to know that they did an account review and they are increasing the amount that we are earning on our funds from 0.40% to 3.75%. So that was quite a substantial increase. And I let them know how much we appreciated. They are very responsive. They are very easy to work with. I love the relationship that we have with them, and this is one of the reasons why.
Wow.
Mhm. Questions?
I'm wondering if we should send a thank you.
Yeah, that's what I was thinking too, actually.
I'd be happy
Fruit
to.
basket.
I can be really
You know,
grateful.
it's really nice when somebody does something without being asked
Right.
to do, you know what, it was a
Without being
call I
cajoled.
got
Come
out
on,
of
come
the
on.
blue.
Yeah,
So it was wonderful, yep.
that is so great. Oh, well, thank you, Kennebec Savings. If
I
anybody's
agree.
watching, we'll take that.
And
That's
Brent
awesome.
Hall, yep.
Oh,
Throw a
great.
shout out to Brent.
Brent.
He's,
absolutely.
yeah, he's
Yeah,
wonderful.
a fabulous individual.
He's wonderful. Well, thank you, Brent, and thank you, Kennebec Savings. That's great. And this one is probably less good, but
Probably is.
Uh-huh.
It wouldn't be a meeting if I didn't bring the other
something,
kind of tidings.
something troubling.
So I wanted to give you a heads up regarding two pieces of correspondence we received. For those of you who live in the Gardner area, you probably received the same notice. There's a proposed increase in the water district of 15%. Okay. In addition, we received an outreach from the city, and they will also be increasing rates. So the correspondence is from Andy, the city manager, and he's telling us that the minimum rate is currently 110, and that the new rate will now be 143.11 per quarter. So we pay more than that at some of our bigger schools, but I just wanted to give you an idea of how the rate was increasing. So I will, during budget, I will make adjustments for these.
That is a
planned
significant increase.
increases.
Wow.
What was the justification for the 15%? They're
Um,
coming with that?
It says there'll be a public hearing. It says that, it doesn't really say, but I'd be happy to share this with you. I have a copy of it, but I can pass it around if anybody wants to see, if anyone's
I'd be
curious.
happy to look at it.
It just basically says that, operating costs have increased. And, in order to continue properly maintaining its water systems and paying its debt service obligations. That's what it says.
And that's the one from the city?
That's from the Gardner Water District, the 15% one.
Yeah.
Interesting.
I've been in the district for 5 years and haven't noticed that they've raised the rates at really at any other time. Nothing appreciable. I guess I wasn't very surprised to get the letter.
Yeah, it wasn't.
You got one too?
Yeah.
Yeah, I did get one, but I did wonder why the,
Salaries, benefits.
well, I was,
all of
as
those.
I'm sitting here, I'm thinking they might be understaffed, and if that's the case.
Is the city sewer, so the water district's water and the city sewer? Is
Yes.
that what it is?
Yeah.
They're two different bills,
Yeah.
and they're both,
Mhm.
the sewer one is.
Gardner
Equally
Water
excited.
District
Yeah,
is the
just as fun.
faucet on and
I
the
got
city
s-
is the,
The sewer
Sewer.
PowerPoint right here.
You do?
The public hearing tomorrow, I think.
yeah, anybody who would like to go.
I'd be grateful.
Anticipated costs, treatment plan upgrades.
Yeah, there was,
There's an issue with the treatment plant.
there was some buzz about it, a few
Manhole
months ago,
replacements.
because Jessica Lowell emailed me and asked if I knew any families that would be impacted by these rate increases, and I was like, hey, do I know any families? And they were all like, what are you talking about? So it's just kind of like not on people's radar, but it has been coming along down the
Yeah,
pike.
and there has been some kind of, and I don't remember, I can't articulate it this minute, but something was happening with the sewer
It needed to
portion.
be upgraded or something like that.
There wasn't
It
enough- wasn't
meeting
big
a
enough.
requirement or something.
Wasn't big enough in South Gardner to hold
Yeah.
everything. That was what it was.
So it
So
just
I have no
wasn't-
idea what happens when you can't hold it, what then?
You
So-
upgrade quickly.
Yeah, you upgrade.
I believe it was a quick
That's Probably
upgrade,
why you.
possibly. Well, we don't want to be unprepared, so thank you for that news.
Do the storms that we've had and flooding impact our, both the sewer treatment and the water purification?
We have that beautiful pump station,
Right.
so we're in
I don't
decent
think,
shape, I think, in that respect. if
I don't
remember
think
correctly.
I don't think runoff goes that way. I have luckily the lowest, wettest yard in town. And in the corner, in each corner, there's a catch basin.
Yeah.
Thank you. I have 2 catch basins, so that's where it goes, but I don't believe it goes down there. I believe it goes up there. And it's wet. And it creates beautiful music if you like the sound of running water
Yes, like little tiny waterfalls in my basement.
in my backyard. It's great. Okay. Well, thank you. Any questions from anyone? Good. ESSER 2 and CRRSA grant updates.
So I want to give a shout out to our superintendent for doing an amazing job with
What'd you
the
do this
planning
time?
of our Easter 2 CR, what we call Carissa grant. We were obligated to spend all of the funds they were required to be obligated by September 30th and required to be billed by December 31st. So the grant was a $1.6 million grant. It's a federal grant that we received during COVID. We have spent all but $60 of it. And I want to
Seriously,
remind
good for
you,
That's
you.
incredible.
I want to remind you the incredible projects that we have accomplished with this.
Wow.
We have done roof projects at 4 of our schools. We've purchased cleaning equipment. We've purchased the portable at Helen Thompson School and one of the portables at Pittston School. We have paid social workers. We have paid class size reduction teachers. We have paid a nurse. We have gotten an incredible amount of bang from our buck.
Yeah.
So kudos to the superintendent.
Lot of us.
Took a lot of us,
not.
and I want you to know that not all of the school districts are doing such a as well of a job spending their funds, which is a concern of the Department of Education, because if people leave money on the table, the feds will see that will
not
think that
needed.
it's not needed and will reduce it. So there has been a push to spend it. So I am really proud of the way that we have spent it and the fact that we have left everything but $60 on the table. And if I can find a way to spend the $60 between now and December 31st, believe me, we will
My
do so.
birthday's on the 1st, so.
And we
Love to
offered to
dinner.
help out other districts.
My birthday's on Monday.
Yeah, we did. More than
Actually, you could do a pamphlet touting all the stuff that
You
did.
should do a little go home to the kids,
That's
to
a
the parents.
very good idea.
You really
Yeah.
should. That's a commendable.
Next newsletter, we should include in the
Yeah, we
next
should.
That's a
newsletter.
great idea.
Yeah.
I just glanced at the projects and it's like, wow, we really did a lot with this. So it's
A little info.
Yeah.
Great idea.
infographic.
Next newsletter, we'll put that in.
And a plug for our district. We are so fortunate to have our business office, Andrea and Colleen and Ginger and you and Angela, who have really taken care of all of these monies for us.
Mhm.
And not every district has a business manager, let alone a business manager and a business office like ours. And the same amount of work or the same work has to get done in every district across the state. So we're just really well-staffed for being understaffed.
Our office is incredibly efficient and we work very well together.
You do, yeah, you work on the short end.
All of us.
All of you, it's
Mhm.
always a very busy place.
Yeah.
So thank you guys for all of that. Future agenda items.
Well, I don't know.
Gabe's report.
I do know that the December meeting is on December 19th.
Oh,
And I didn't know if maybe, since it's the week, a few days before Christmas Eve, whether we wanted to talk about moving it to the week before.
We're in school still.
Similar to
We have
this week,
school
like
until
we
the
did.
21st.
Normally, we don't meet on this day, right?
We usually meet the third Tuesday of the month. So the third Tuesday of December is the 19th. So
I don't care either way.
Yeah.
I'll do whatever everyone
that's
wants.
because
it's
you're
fine.
not a woman wrapping Christmas gifts.
I hate, how did you know I hate wrapping gifts?
I'm
I
actually, I
despise
will not
wrapping
be in
gifts.
town on the 12th.
So
Okay, so we can leave it the 19th.
has nothing to do with finance
Yeah, I
committee.
would-
I'd like to make this
I don't want to
permanent.
back to back.
That way I give 2 committees on one day.
I know, that is kind of a, I mean, that's what I
That
just
is
did.
so nice.
Does it?
Yeah, I mean, really, at 3 o'clock I was here. And you were too.
Yeah.
That's a great idea.
That's
For the
Curriculum, yeah.
committee.
Back to
And
And we do
so-
try and do that.
You knock out 2 committees in one day.
We have tried to do that. I don't know why we didn't think of this before. We didn't have you?
Do you need a motion?
I like just, I don't know.
We could do a
making
thumbs up to
sure
do,
that it-
to make a commitment to
Here's
look
my,
into it.
here's my
One month.
hesitation.
Mhm.
My only hesitation is you have policy.
Mhm.
And I think the policy specifically states when finance meets. Policy committee
Oh.
just reviewed this very policy 2 weeks ago, or whenever it last week,
yeah.
whenever it was. So, we would have to go back into, I'd have to take a look at that policy. And if the policy does indeed say the third Tuesday, and you're all in agreement that you wanted the second Tuesday, then at the board meeting,
Mhm.
when the board makes, takes, first read,
Right.
okay, action on the first read, that would be the time to recommend a change to the policy to make it say the second Tuesday. No, however, in December, if you want to do it on the second Tuesday, you can do that. I will not be here, so you would have to run the
We
meeting.
can start it in January,
Yeah, we can do that. Just start it in January.
right?
That's fine, new
Would
year,
that-
new schedule.
Yeah.
Work?
Yeah, I mean,
We
I'm
can start
throwing
in
this out,
January.
a proposal to have that. I mean, if it's more convenient because of the Christmas holiday,
I'm fine
I
with the
mean, I would do it
19th.
next month.
I'm
as
fine
well.
with the 19th.
finance committee meetings become longer and longer, does it matter that
They just become more frequent.
I don't think so. We're gonna be
More
here forever.
frequent.
Yeah,
not
we-
longer?
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah.
Both,
Well, both.
all of the above.
Okay.
Right.
I just didn't know if that affected. Those.
We have really worked hard at trying to consolidate meetings so that people aren't out so many different times.
Yeah.
So.
I'll take a look at the policy.
I remember seeing language thinking, what is this like actually designated in a policy?
A date, like the
Right.
day of the week.
Interesting.
Well,
So that members of the public,
Yeah,
so that they're
no,
aware.
that, and it,
Let me take a look. I can't find it. I've looked at the two policies and I don't see where it,
I don't see it in this one.
I don't see where it signifies.
Notice
that-
of public of the date and time and place of a standing committee meeting, and the agenda shall be provided at least 3 days in advance.
Right. Thought somewhere it said the exact week, like the board meeting does, but I may be wrong.
Each standing committee shall meet at call of its chair at a time and place to be designed in the call of the meeting. Standing committee meeting shall be held monthly as needed. Additional meetings may be scheduled. Yeah.
Yeah.
I did,
I just remember seeing it.
could have been the board meeting.
The board meeting specifies
Yeah.
that it's the first Thursday.
I'm looking at BDE-R.
Yeah, I'm looking at BDE right now.
Mm.
So we're looking at the same policy and I don't see it here either. So we may be fine, just a decision amongst you guys. So if you want to make a motion, put it on the record and say effective January, the January meeting.
I'm fine with that.
We can do that. I will spend a little more time behind the scenes just confirming that there isn't a policy. And if there is, I'll bring it to your attention. If not, you're good to go.
You can do it.
Jeff, would you like to make a motion to that effect?
I'd like to make a motion then that we change our meeting from the third Tuesday to the second on every month.
I'll second that.
Any questions or comments? Accolades? All those in favor? Great, so that will be on the next agenda, the board agenda, so we'll discuss that. Seeing nothing else, I think we're adjourned.
So move.
Let's go.
Great.
This was great.
If you want to forward that to